Choo-choo and welcome to Etheria Station. How the heck are you? I am Fastidious, and at long last, we are getting the official patch notes for the new update in Etheria Restart. This is the post-Season 1 real-time arena, or I guess Season 0 RTA update, where they are doing a lot of rebalancing. We're seeing some buffs, and we're seeing one big nerf. This stuff is spicy. I read through most of it, and then I was like, this is just too good. I want to start filming right away. When is the update happening? Well, that will be right at the start of Wednesday, UTC -8. So for me, that's going to be 2 a.m. If you're on the East Coast, that will be 4 a.m. If you're in Europe, that will be 10 a.m., so on and so on. You can figure it out or just go on the Discord and they actually adjust it to tell you your specific time. Enough of me yapping. If you are new here, we do stuff like this all the time whenever there are new patch notes, hero drops, news, anything and everything Etheria Restart. We are covering it here, so let's get right in and let's talk about these very, very spicy patch notes. So here we are, Seasonal Balance Adjustment Season 1. Dear hyperlinkers, following the conclusion of the first RTA season, we have made several balance adjustments. They go on to explain that they're going to do this a lot, to listen to the players, so on and so on. Let's get right into it, beginning with Animus adjustments, and I will tell you, it is all good news for all these anima. They are not nerfing any of the characters in this game. So we're starting off with Hellkid, and Hellkid, to begin, will get a base speed increase from 111 to 117. And when he is 6 stars, his base speed will now be 127. That's quite a huge difference, 10 more speed. He should be a lot more viable in PvP now. If we go to his skill 3, Shroud Barrier, he deals 3 hits of 110% damage to all enemies, granting all the allies a Shroud Barrier. Previously, it was equal to 240% of their attack. Now it's 300%. That is 60% more, aka an increase in shield strength of 25%. That is very good. That should be a pretty major difference for Hellkid. Does this make him meta? I don't know about that, but definitely you'll see him a lot more. On to one of my favorite units in the game, we have Holden. They're making a couple changes to Holden. I already thought Holden was incredibly strong in this game, but he's only getting stronger. And by the way, let me tell you, all these anima adjustments and buffs, though I think they were made by the developers with PvP in mind, these will happen throughout every mode in the game. So these will be kit changes in both PvP and PvE. So back to Holden, his skill 1, Punishment. Deals 3 hits of damage to a single enemy. Each hit equals 110% of his defense. Now it's 125%, so it's up by 15%. That's like a 13% boost or so. And he has a 20%, now 25% chance to inflict decreased defense. So more reliably, he'll be getting out that defense break. And remember, he counterattacks a lot through his kit. So when he counters attack with that S1, he's going to have more opportunities to land the defense break. Speaking of his passive and his opportunities to counterattack, this is buffed as well. So his exclusive passive, Execution Mode. Upon entering battle, he previously was getting a 10% counter rate and a 5% final damage boost for every 500 defense you built upon him. Now those numbers have been buffed. The counter rate per 500 defense is now 12%, and the final damage boost is now 6%. So let's just say you built 3,000 defense on Holden. That would mean 6 stacks of 500 defense. So the counter rate boost would be 72%. That's really good. If you throw a Bramble on him as well, he's always going to be counterattacking, but you wouldn't even need to have Bramble on him because 72% is really a ton. He's going to counterattack all the time. And then if we look at the final damage boost, if we had those 6 stacks with 3,000 defense you built upon him, we'd be talking about a 36% final damage boost. It's pretty dang nice. This is a sizable increase. Both of these numbers are increased by 20%. The third Animus on the list, another SSR, is going to be Chloros, and they are buffing his skill 3. So with this skill, he deals 480% damage to a single enemy and applies his special debuff Doom Toll. Each time Doom's Resurge is used, Doom's Resurge is his skill 3 we're discussing right now, its final damage permanently is increased by 25%. That permanent increase is now 35%. So the permanent boost to the final damage per use of this skill is up 40%. It's up 10% from 25% to 35%. That should be really significant, and it is now going to stack up to a maximum increase. Previously, it was 100%. Now it's 105%, so you can quickly stack that 3 times. So 3 uses at 35% boost per use. We're talking 105% more damage. Previously, it took 4 uses to get to just 100. So 2 big buffs there to his skill 3, and still, if the skill kills the target, they cannot be revived for the rest of the battle. The fourth Animus on our list now is going to be Rahu. He's getting some buffs. It's another SSR. His skill 1, Flame Stream, deals damage to a single enemy equal to 350% of his own defense. Now it's 380%, and previously it had a 60% chance to inflict decreased defense for 1 turn. Now it is 80%. Much better. Very nice buff. If we look at the skill 3, his ultimate Flame Authority, Rahu first grants all allies defense increase for 2 turns and gains 2 stacks of Wrath. Then he deals some AoE damage. Previously it was 360% of his own defense. Now it is 400%, so it has been increased by a 1/9 with that additional 40% boost. That should be pretty significant. Now perhaps my favorite buff on the list. I kind of can't believe she's getting a buff. I suppose they want to make my girl Real Mocha more PvP viable, but they're making her a good bit stronger. So they're buffing both her skill 2 and her skill 3. Beginning with her skill 2, Desert Time, Real Mocha deals 280% damage to all enemies. For each 1% HP the target has already lost, the final damage previously was increased by 0.1%. Now it's increased by 1%. After attacking, she will still recover 70% of her own lost HP. This is pretty nice because you don't have to do any quick calculation in your head, right? The final damage is just going to be increased by what was missing from the target's bar when you attacked them. So if it looked like they were missing about 60% of their health, well, then you know the final damage boost will be 60%. Her ultimate, though, the skill 3, this is what I find to be the spiciest. Real Mocha first deals 3 hits of 180%. Now it's 200% damage, so another increase of 1/9. That's up 20% from 180 to 200, and this is going to be to a single enemy. The first hit now has a 100% chance to inflict stun. So now you can see why I think they might be wanting to take her in a PvP direction. It now has a 100% chance to inflict stun for 1 turn. The rest remains the same after attacking. Deals splash damage to all enemies equal to 33% of the total damage, or it's 100% of the total damage if any of her 3 attacks defeated the initial target. So this also has viability in Doki, right? To strip off those shells and lower the damage reductions, you're going to want to get some crowd control effects. I think a lot of people will still just build her for out and out DPS for that content, but certainly the 100% chance for the single target stun coming with the S3 now makes her better in PvP. I really like the damage boost. I really like the final damage increase. It's very good. Like, Real Mocha already slaps, but now I think these changes will make a lot of people have an easier time farming the higher levels of Doki Doki, and maybe we'll see some Real Mocha play in PvP. Let me know what you guys think. Another SSR boost. This is our final Animus that is SSR quality getting a buff, and it is another one of my favorites, Fushu. I actually have a Fushu video coming out, the video after this one, and this is a fairly simple change. It's the most low-key on the list of our SSR Anima. It's a change to her prowess effect. So when you get her P4, that 4th anima effect has now been changed from an effect accuracy boost of 12% to an effect resistance boost of 12%. That increase for pay-to-win players or people lucky enough to pull 5 copies of her could be significant when you want her to fight off some debuffs, mostly in PvP. That concludes our buffs to the SSR units, but we have 7 SR Anima that are getting some kind of buff, beginning with Oboro. So they're buffing her bleeding effect. At the start of the turn, someone inflicted with bleed, an enemy inflicted with bleed, will now take indirect damage equal to not 50%, it has been doubled to 100% of the applier's attack. So this will be 100% of Oboro's attack. The target will take that as a damage over time effect with the bleeding here. Now let's go to Gray, one of my favorite SRs in the game. They are buffing his skill 3 strictly for damage. So this is something we think about as an AoE defense break skill, a debuffing skill. It also was dealing 120% damage. Now it's going to be 160%. That's a 33% boost in total damage, going from 120 to 160. Significant. Is it enough to build Gray as a DPS? I don't know about that, but maybe for certain pieces of content. Now we've got a boost to Chiaki, not Chiaki the Echo, OG Chiaki, Red Chiaki, and they are buffing her S3 Origami Hymn. So Chiaki folds numerous origamis to heal all allies. The healing amount is 30% of each target's max HP. For every 2% HP lost, healing is increased by an additional 1.2%, but here's the change. Previously, she was granting 2 stacks of Origami Guardian, now it is 3, and these stacks will last 5 turns. This is important because those Origami Guardian buffs are going to reduce incoming damage by 35% for each stack. When an ally is hit, it will consume one of those stacks to reduce the incoming damage by by 35%. You have an extra stack to consume now, so it will just stay up longer, and it already has that long duration of 5 turns. The additional stack, I hope, should make a difference. I really like Chiaki as a sustain kind of unit. Now we're getting a change to one of our Rins. This is Wild Rampage Rin, and it's her skill 2. This is a very nice change. She's going to be a lot more viable as a support in certain content. You can see previously she would grant allies increased defense for 2 turns and a shield equal to 270% of her own defense. Now it is going to be 300% of her own defense, so another increase of 1/9, going from 270 to 300. So the shield is bigger, but the best part, because she's an SR, she's not that hard to skill out, even though there are so many good SRs. I think we all want to skill with our lattices nowadays. This is the best part, though. The cooldown of this S2 has now been reduced from 4 turns to 3 turns, so you can really cycle through this S2 a lot and get a lot of consistent and constant shields out. If we go to our next SR now, it will be Tsutomu. They are buffing both his S2 and his S3. Tsutomu deals 2 hits of 160% damage that has now been increased to 200% damage. This is a single target hit. Each hit previously had a 60% chance to steal 1 random buff. Now it is 80%. Additionally, the damage on his skill 3 has also been buffed, another increase of 40%, going from 240% to 280% damage on a double hitter to a single enemy. So what, that will be 560% total damage between those 2 hits. If the final hit is a crit, there's a 100% chance to inflict wound and block for 2 turns. That all stays the same, but another damage boost for Tsutomu. We are getting an interesting buff now for Marvel. They're kind of potentially trying to return him to his open beta final test glory. Heading into global launch, they nerfed this skill, raising the skill cooldown from 4 turns to 5 turns. Now on his skill 3, Stasis Strike, they are reducing it back to 4 turns. So the cooldown on his skill 3, this is his big AoE with the turn meter knockback, the decreased speed, and the decreased resistance. Since global launch, the cooldown was 5 turns. It is now cut back to 4 turns, just like in the open beta in the final test. We're getting buffs now to Mizuki Makoto. Her base speed has been increased from 107 to 110, an increase of 3, which means when she's fully upgraded to 6 stars, her base speed will be 120. They've also buffed her skill 1, deals damage to a single enemy equal to 300%. Now it's going to be 360% of her own defense. That 60% increase from 300 to 360 is a 20% total boost in damage. This still has a 50% chance to dispel 1 buff from the target. Now, they're actually buffing some rares, a lot of rares. They are buffing 3 rares. So starting with Sybil, previously she was dealing 3 hits of 100% damage to a single enemy. Now it's 120%. This is with Electro Rush, her skill 2. The rest remains the same. For every 10% max HP the target has lost, the damage increases by 10%. But in total, the damage has been increased by 20%. Her skill 3 is also getting buffed. This move previously dealt 4 hits of 90% damage to a single enemy. Now it's 110% damage to a single enemy. So if you do that total over the 4 hits, we're going from 360% damage to 440% damage. The total jump in damage is going from 360 to 440. Each hit previously had a 50% chance to inflict decreased defense for 2 turns. Now it is a 60% chance. Next up, they are buffing number 41, buffing her skill 3. Previously, she would increase all allies' turn meter by 20% and grant attack up for 2 turns. Now she's increasing turn meter by 25%. Finally, our last hero buff and our last buff period, because we're building up to the huge nerf. This is going to be a change to Kachi, and it's a buff to Kachi, which is kind of crazy because I feel like Kachi's been overperforming as a rare the past few weeks. This is Kachi's skill 3. Deals 250% damage to all enemies, knocks their turn meter back by 50%, and previously he had a 35% chance to inflict a stun for 1 turn. Now it is a 50% chance. So if you build a ton of effect accuracy on Kachi, you should be stunning basically all the time. Very, very, very powerful buffs to all these anima. Let's talk about our one big nerf. And this, of course it is. This is a nerf to Revelation. I will tell you the good news for PvE enjoyers. The nerf will only be applied in PvP modes, but it is significant. Revelation has very much been the meta in PvP, and I think it's very overpowered, and I think a lot of people, myself included, think that it's too overpowered in PvP, so they're making a change. The change will be, in PvP modes, the Revelation Shell will be affected by the Etheria effect protection field, reducing damage dealt by 30%. So I still think Revelation's going to be crazy strong, but it will be dealing 30% less damage in PvP modes. They are buffing one shell though, and that is the Golden Lion, and this is not exclusive to PvP content, this is just in general. So when the host Animus uses skill 1 twice, increases the host's final damage by 5%, this has been buffed up to 8%, and then it was increasing the effect accuracy by 7%, this has been buffed up to 15%. Please do note though, maximum stacks have been reduced from 8 to 5, so effectively where you end up will be similar. The same for the damage, still better now for the effect accuracy, but you're going to get there faster. So this will be a stronger shell in a shorter amount of time. Less uses of the skill 1 will be required. Quick thing though, if we do the math, the final damage boost remains the same, you just get there faster. It was 40% at max stacks, now it is still 40%. However, the effect accuracy boost has gone from 56% to 75%. So that is pretty significant, though I think most players are most interested in the damage. The final shell adjustment is a general adjustment. All shell skills will no longer be considered skill 1. Any effects that target or interact with skill 1 will no longer apply to shell skills. So for example, if a unit had a debuff that would land from its skill 1, they were counting the shell for that, they no longer will. The final thing, this is an adjustment to Keen Eye. Keen Eye can no longer be triggered by damage from shells. And there you have it. That is the big rebalancing update. This is happening about exactly 48 hours after this video goes live. Sorry if the video was a little long. The update is a little long, and I wanted to be thorough. Let me know which buffs you think are the strongest, and let me know how happy or sad you are about the nerf to Revelation in PvP modes. I've been Fastidious. Again, if you are new here, welcome to Etheria Station. Please consider subscribing to the channel. If you're new to Etheria Restart, use my link in the description and the top pinned comment to download the game, share with your mother, and we'll see you real soon. Bye.
Fastidious.